Hello, Sam.
Hello there.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Likewise.
So, first things first, Sam, to those who don't know you, tell me a bit about yourself. How would you introduce yourself? And actually, tell me a little bit more about you professionally. What's your history?
Sure. Well, I think one of the things I would always say to people is that I've been in this industry of healthcare for well over 20 years. I think it's over 25 years now. I don't want to say it. That gives my age away.
Mashallah, you don't look it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But the reality is I've been in healthcare for a long time, and I've been working in multiple regions around the world. I've been on both the clinical side of healthcare and I've also been on the tech side of healthcare. So I've had the pleasure of working in Asia, I've had the pleasure of working in Europe, I've had the pleasure of working in the UK, and over the last, I would say, 15 plus years, I've been here in the Middle East, specifically working out of Dubai and having Dubai as my base, really. And I've been really quite honored to have worked for some very large organizations in healthcare, like I've worked with Microsoft, who tried to make a big implementation in healthcare. I've worked with General Electric, GE, and the last 7 years I've done work with Orion Health, building out some really quite large projects in the region, like Malafi and like Nafis. So that's probably my claim to fame. In the last 2 years, I've been really sort of managing and as a managing director for Dedalus in the region.
That's an amazing CV right there.
Thank you.
That's a lot of great brands. So we're here to talk about various things, but I
Sure.
have to first bring up your new release. It's very exciting. You're an author.
I know, I can't believe it myself. It's been something that I've been planning out for a while, and it's finally finished. It took a long time to write, and it's really interesting because as I was writing out the book, technology moved so much that we're probably going to have to produce a new book now. With the introduction of AI and ChatGPT, everything is just leapfrogged. So yeah, it's exciting. The new book is called the NFT in Me, and really it is more or less about the journey of innovation in healthcare and what's been happening the last few years and what I think and what I predict will happen in the coming 10 to 15 years.
I have to ask, where does the NFT mean? What inspired the name?
Yeah, it's actually quite a funny one because it's kind of a play on words from a company that I really like called 23andMe, which is a DNA company, a sequencing company. So I really sort of took that name a little bit and molded it into the NFT in me. Having, if you read the book, you'll understand a lot more, of course. But it's more about talking about really my digital footprint on the world, personalized to me. So hence why it's the NFT in me.
Amazing. I have to ask as well, in terms, your elevator pitch, when you tell somebody about the book and they've not read it as yet, what's your kind of 30-second description of it? What's your core mission or message?
Yeah, it's a great question because I think every time I answer that question, it's slightly different. But the truth is, it is about the way healthcare has moved on and how today the most precious thing in healthcare is data and how data has become the new oil, not only in banking and in finance, but also in healthcare, and how using that data we can actually create meaningful use to help people to live a longer, better quality of life. I think that's the underlying sentence really is, understanding your own data and using that data to embetter your daily life sequence, if you like.
100%. Now, data is a Pandora's box, but I love it, and we're going to talk about this
Sure.
in a little more detail. But before that, fusing the author and you,
Yeah.
along with your role at Dedalus, tell me a bit more about Dedalus's role in the healthcare industry at present and kind of its vision for the future and how you're working together.
Yeah, sure. I mean, many people still don't know about Dedalus in the region, and they're starting to get to know that. But Dedalus is actually a big name, and they've been around for about 40 years. It's a pretty big company. If you look at Class Research, for example, they class Dedalus as the third largest healthcare software company in the world. And that's a pretty big feast, right? We're about 8,000 employees. And I think as of today, we have well over 200 plus products. So it's a huge organization. Most of our work, of course, is dominated in Europe. We do a lot of work in Asia and the Middle East and APAC. And of course, in the Middle East, I would say we're probably second in terms of EMR implementation. But at the same time, we have been going in acquisition mode, and we've been very lucky to acquire some really amazing technology, and we will continue to do that as the time goes by.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
So, what are the cutting edge solutions that Dedalus is bringing to healthcare along with their transformative effects? And how does NFTME mirror the company's mission, basically, or dedication to advancing healthcare?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, when you look at Dedalus, Dedalus has always been focused on the classic solutions. So we do a lot in laboratory, we do a lot in radiology, we do a lot in EMR. But at the same time, we have been heavily investing into the future and putting a lot of time and innovation and really looking at the liberation of data. And I think that's what everyone is looking at. What we have been investing very heavily in the last few years is our command center, which is really, if you like, if you think of a cup full of information, this is the lid for the cup that allows you to see everything. And a lot of AI and a lot of machine learning has gone into that to help you understand how to create efficiency in hospital or in healthcare environments. So we do a lot of that work in Dedalus today. And when you look into the book and when you get a chance to read it, you'll see the book is very much about taking data and creating that lid that's on top of the cup that gives you the sort of meaningful use into your own personal life and seeing the things how you can improve. So if you like, it's not just about, Dedalus looks at improving a large healthcare scope of hospitals and a much bigger, broader government level, where the book says, okay, well, let's bring that down, let's zoom it into an individual level and really personalize it for me and for you. So that's where the two kind of meet in the middle, if you like.
You've been hard at work.
It's been a tough journey, but I'm happy to be here.
Right. So let's delve into one of my favorite topics ever, which is data. Genuinely, I love it. I'm fascinated by it, the whole big data concept and just how much data we're working with at the moment in healthcare. Now, obviously, we're looking at a pivotal moment in healthcare, especially post-pandemic, with regards to innovation, and your book discusses the unavoidable collection of data and the use of it by various entities. Now, for those who kind of really are still getting their heads around it, can you explain why this happens? What's happening with this data? What are the implications? And then I'd like to ask you a bit more about Dedalus's role in data collection as well.
Look, I think the inevitability of data sharing has always been there. A lot of the time we're giving our information away and not really even thinking about it. Of course, each region and each country has its specifics around the sovereignty and the controlling of data. But irrespective, data is always being, flows through to third-party companies that sometimes utilize that information, right, for different purposes. And you know, even if you think about today, our forget healthcare for a second, think about our banking data. I don't know where my banking data is, but I know where my healthcare data is. So, in fact, healthcare data is much safer these days and much more protected in its custodian relationship with each sovereign location. So that's one. And in terms of Dedalus, Dedalus goes through some really quite strict, stringent rules around governing data and works very closely with each individual cultural and country-specific rules to ensure the certification is met before we launch any software in any region. And that's really a critical part. And at the same time, we bring with us our knowledge from other regions. So we say, look, we understand you're doing it this way. However, we've done it in a couple of other ways. Would you like us to implement some of that knowledge that we've gained from other regions? So we do see a lot of the times that organizations take on, best know-how from other places as well, which is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of collaboration involved in knowledge exchange, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
And you know what? The whole banking thing, I never thought about it this way.
Yeah.
You always assume money is going to be more secure. You don't know why.
I mean, when you call a call center, that call center is somewhere not where you are, and they obviously have your banking data. So think about that for a moment, not to scare anybody.
Great. So speaking of scaring people, so one of the main concerns is the exploitation of data in general, just in healthcare,
Correct.
not reserved to any specific company. Look, there's a lot of talk in the industry. On the one hand, that it's a pathway to enhance medical care, precision diagnostics in the future, etc. But also public perception is, they're going to use this data against me. It's going to raise my insurance premium at some point. So Is it this, that, or a little bit of both?
No, I think it's a hybrid. I think it's a combination of those two things. I think the people who generally have um, are in a bad healthcare situation, potentially it may rise their insurance. But at the same time, people who are healthier deserve to have a lower insurance premium, just as an example from what you're saying. But ultimately, data is there to help us as individuals to live better and longer and a quality of our lives. And I think we're still at the infancy of that, and we're learning how to take on that journey day by day. But I think people, and if you look at the rules around data governance, for example, in Europe, they're becoming much more relaxed right now, and they're starting to liberate a lot of that information. So we're seeing a revolution of liberation of data and the creation of an ecosystem of software providers that really help the individual to live that better quality of life based on the information that's been liberated.
What's your view on precision medicine here in the UAE? I mean,
Yeah.
there's loads of MOUs and announcements and agreements, things happening. And do you think the future genuinely is all about, the future is precise, so to speak?
Well, look, I think, I'll plug in the book again, but if you do get a chance to read the book, there's a lot about how precision medicine now is working together with AI. And I think that's where the trick comes in. That's where the magic happens, right? When you have artificial intelligence looking at precision medicine, which is really not just medication, it's actually looking at a holistic view of the treatment of a patient. Because precision medicine looks at your tailor-made drugs, but also looks at a treatment plan that is really dedicated to that individual. So if you combine all those together and put them in an AI cube, if you like, you could really generate some amazing insights that could help, maybe not today, but certainly the days of tomorrow and the next generation and forth and so forth. So it's happening, it's here, it's unavoidable. So either be a part of the journey or sit back and watch everybody else have a much better, healthier life.
That's very, very true. Yeah. So Sam, your book champions patient empowerment through data control.
Yeah.
How is Dedalus enabling patients to securely manage their health data and also make well-informed health decisions?
Yeah, and that's an interesting one. So first and foremost, if you think about data, today Dedalus probably would be the largest custodian of data outside the US. Right? So that's a lot of information for a lot of people. In many countries, we work with the regional government bodies to create things simple like patient apps. People could log in and check their information. And more, one of the things that we also do when we create these patient apps is we allow for other providers to build applications on top of that, right? So we create these open APIs and give those open APIs to many different, especially AI vendors. We have a lot of AI builders that come in and put their own applications on top of ours and build meaningful use. Just to give an example, there is a number of patient apps that help people, simple like pedometers, for example, right? So people do a lot of walking and they're also managing their diets and all of that they're sending to their doctor through the patient app, and all of that's creating data. And then you're taking that data and you're helping that patient understand where they're going with that information and how well they're going up against their treatment. So that sounds quite simple, but there's actually a lot of work in the background to create that, right?
100%, yeah. Also, I have to ask, is the whole 10,000 step thing a myth?
No, I mean, look, I think that's the starting point, right? So you got to start with 10. I find sometimes I do 20, sometimes I do 30. It really depends on the weather mostly.
Yeah.
Right. So we always have to be careful. But looking at the ecosystem of applications, it's really become such a great market. One of the ones I really enjoyed looking at just recently is an application around sleep. And people forget that one of the critical points of being healthy is giving yourself enough sleep, allowing for your body to rest And it's not just about the sleep, it's about having a deep sleep, right? And people forget, sometimes they'll go out and they'll eat late and do all kinds of things. They don't sleep comfortably. So these applications are just really simple, just watching and tracking your sleep and how deep your sleep is, and then making small changes to that. So, let's say tomorrow I won't drink a coffee after 6 o'clock, and seeing how that affects my sleep. Or, if in the region here, people eat quite late. So let's say, I won't eat mansaf at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, or whatever that people like to eat.
We love that mansaf at 10 at
Hummus or
night.
shawarma, whatever it is that you eat really late at night that people like to do, and then going to bed. So, these just small things like that, making the alterations to your own daily routine. And there's all these great applications that were built to help you, to guide you, to give you coaching. And they cost next to nothing, right? And they all sit on top of the data that you are creating every day.
Exactly, and this brings us into actually, you talking about sleep and steps and whatnot. Obviously, wearables is the big thing at the moment. Yeah. We can manage our own data. We can kind of make decisions around that. Obviously, in the future, when we start sharing more of this data with our healthcare provider, they would say, okay, yes, so you did walk, well done. Yes, you're doing your thing. Or no, actually, you didn't really do anything, so maybe you need to step it up a little bit. No pun intended. Yeah. But so this is the thing, with regards to transparency, I kind of like the fact that I know what data I have and what I'm sharing. In terms of the wider healthcare industry, would having complete transparency about our shared data empower us further? Like, for example, would it make us, as the public, want to positively impact our health more? Or even, can I commercialize my own health data?
It's a very good question. Why is it that
somebody else?
Well, today, it depends on where you are.
Right.
You can't. But there are many countries that you can. And again, this is where the book talks about how you could potentially monetize your own data, how your data becomes a commodity, right? Especially with, I will take you back a little bit to the whole wearable device piece, right? So now you have these wearable devices and the whole IoT network, and that allows you to have a lot more data created that you can visibly see very easily, right? And because of that, there are companies out there that are interested in that information and they want to buy that data, especially if you have some kind of disease prevalence. So they want to be able to track, monitor, and see, well, if we give you that drug, how are you reacting? Or if we give you something else, how are you reacting? If you make interchanges into your daily routine, how is that reaction happening? So, your data is valuable. You could say that a healthy 20-year-old data versus a 70-year-old with multiple diseases, which one is valuable? Which one's more valuable? So then you start to compare, 70 years of data versus 20 years of data, and so forth and so forth. But the reality is there's definitely value in there for somebody. It's kind of like saying it's in the eye of the beholder, right? Whether it's a pharmaceutical company or it's a research organization.
100%. And even when you look at, research, the data collected from research is this is proven, it's predominantly, based on men, Caucasian males, basically.
Correct.
Because over the years, it was white men who went to take part in trials. Whereas now we're diversifying data, and it's all sorts of backgrounds, races, etc. So, yeah, it's the question of what's more valuable in the long run.
Yeah, and I think the answer is everything. Right? Everything is of value. It may not be of value today, but certainly in the future, we may be able to come back and go, that thing that I wanted to know about, I actually want to know about it now. I didn't want to know about it 10 years ago, but now I do. And you can take that information and reassess and re-examine it, which is great.
Absolutely. So Sam, we've discussed the power of data. I'd like to now delve deeper into the healthcare industry a little bit more, just overall. So you've told me where you've worked, so there's no doubt you have deep expertise and knowledge in this field. I'm sure you've witnessed significant changes over the years, especially, in the current climate. So Going back to Dedalus, how has the company contributed to the evolution of healthcare? You know, for example, from electronic systems to now the AI-driven solutions. Tell me about this evolution.
Yeah, I mean, look, the evolution is happening. It's every day. We are certainly investing a huge amount of our R&D time on new innovative technologies and AI. If you look at AI technology as a whole, today in healthcare, the majority of AI technology is around radiology, right? And it's probably more around the machine learning part where we're looking at images, we're checking against other images, giving second opinions to a diagnosis potentially. And of course, a lot around creating efficiencies, right? So looking at how to create efficiencies in OR, looking at how to create efficiencies in emergency situations and so forth. So that's really where Dedalus is taking flight. And we're seeing more and more evolution as time goes by. And that's also because technology is moving very fast. So we're keeping up with that technology and sort of adding value to it. So we're not competing, but we're actually completing what's out there today.
What really excites you in terms of the evolution? Is it autonomous surgeries, for example? Is it just the AI side of it, the driven diagnostics? What technologies are really exciting you?
Look, I mean, I'll tell you my personal views, and that's what I think what's become really interesting at the moment is the whole introduction of IoT and wearable devices and where that's going. I mean, have you ever heard of the cyborg theory? No.
Tell me more.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a theory out there that we're one step. Cyborg is a sort of fully connected being to the interweb of things, if you like. So the theory is that we're one step away from being connected, and that is the mobile phone. If the mobile phone was permanently connected to our arm or to our leg, then we are fully connected to the internet. So that mobile phone being in your hand is the only thing that's the sort of the integration between yourself and connected to the internet. So, you know, we are so close to being almost cyborgs, you know, not Terminator type, but, you know, being that well connected that all that information is just going to keep rolling over and over and over. So why not utilize that for the embetterment of humanity rather than keeping it all locked down and just sitting there in basements at the moment?
And it's fascinating how, you know, this was all imagination movies in the 90s and whatnot. Now it's like, it's actually going to happen.
Well, I think of it, you know, when you look at things like that and you look at many years ago when they were dreaming about going to the moon and making movies about it, all of that's now come true. And this is no different. This is now, you know, we're a part of that life.
Now, your book addresses the buzz around AI, obviously, machine learning, future precision medicine, etc. You've mentioned some of these already, but could you demystify these concepts a little bit and share your perspective on their real-world implications, perhaps in the region or something?
Yeah. Look, I think a lot of the times we misuse the word AI because it's under a huge blanket and lots of it is under there.
Yeah.
I think today what we see in healthcare is more machine learning. Okay. And I'll maybe give a little bit about what the differences are. So machine learning is about a computer taking information and comparing it with other information and giving that comparison to you with a result saying, I believe this is the right course of action. Mm-hmm. That's machine learning. Then the doctor still needs to make a decision over which one of these to choose. AI, true AI would be, I have made a diagnosis based on the information that I have. I have made the choice about what you're going to do next, and I have administered that choice to you. That's where true AI comes in. And we haven't quite reached it yet, but I think we're on that path. It's basically saying, I've identified the cancer, I'm going into the cancer, I'm taking it out, and I'm throwing it out. There is no involvement. That's true AI, and we haven't got to that stage yet. I mean, that's still in the movies, but we'll get there eventually. So that's AI machine learning, and precision medicine really is about the identification of really very personalized treatments of individuals, so that you're no longer part of a cohort, but you're part of a single unit, and everything that is being designed for you based on all the characteristics that you have and all the ailments and knowledge and learning that you've had from other people who have very, very similar things like you. I think once you combine those two together, when you have AI or machine learning with precision medicine, that's when things are going to get really exciting. And again, one of the chapters in the book is all about that. And I think when you do get to see it, you'll have that aha moment.
So you mentioned true AI. So it's safe to assume that AI-powered systems, I mean, look, do they surpass human capabilities at the moment in terms of accuracy, data processing, and decision-making, or no?
Oh, for sure. For sure, they are better in analyzing. They are more accurate in analyzing. However, I would still say ultimately the decision needs to go back to the physician by giving recommendations for sure, but the ultimate decision needs to go into a physician, into a clinical person to make that final choice. Maybe in the coming 10, 20, 30, 100 years, that will change. But today, AI is not there just yet to make the ultimate decision. It can give you an opinion, but ultimately the physician needs to be the person that takes and makes the final choice.
So the good news is that the 100% needs to be, human oversight.
100%.
Which brings me to your earlier point where you said, look, we need to either adapt or deal with not adapting, right?
Yeah.
So with the rise of AI in healthcare, that's not going away. What do physicians need to do now, in your opinion, now, in order to adapt?
It's interesting because most physicians are already a part of the system. So most physicians are probably using these solutions. I'm talking about the new graduates of physicians. Yes, we still have what we call the dinosaurs, and they will eventually, like dinosaurs, will pass, and only the new generation will remain. And the new generation is already tech savvy. They went to university with the most modern technology, and they were already using computers. So you will see that the younger physicians and the younger clinicians are already quite happy using these things. And the ones that are not happy, I think eventually they will just get phased out. It's inevitability in all evolutions.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to say about Dedalus' role with the use of AI?
Yeah, look, I think, as I mentioned before, Dedalus is taking a leapfrog in AI. We've invested a lot of time and energy. We focused on certain sectors, one being imaging and laboratory, and the other one being advanced sort of command centers and looking at operational efficiency and looking at creating AI algorithms in these inefficient locations, which are really simple things, but really make a massive difference. We've seen a huge impact in the ORs in Madrid, for example, where we've been working very closely with an organization there. And I think we're going to take that learning and bring it to the Middle East and to MENA in general, and seeing how we can make an impact both from an efficiency and also to help aid recovery for the patients, really.
Yeah.
But, and we continue to put more into that sort of conveyor belt of AI as we move forward.
Yeah, 100%. Now, you've given your advice to physicians, healthcare providers, but those less familiar with technology in terms of the patient side, what advice do you have to them to embrace these technologies going forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tricky one. I've seen a lot of people try, certainly the younger generation are already there, right? They're using it through their mobile phones and so forth. Some of the older generations still are getting acclimatized to it. But the interesting thing is we're seeing one of the research that we've been looking at is how every family always has that one person who's super tech savvy.
Yeah.
And they tend to help the older generation to sort of be a part of that system. So, I give credit to that, and I hope that continues. But the more you see the younger generation, they also want their parents and their cousins and uncles and grandparents to be healthy. So they are always there kind of helping them, teaching them, guiding them, and so forth. So, that's a great evolution, right? A part of the evolution where the younger generation is coming up and educating the older generations. It's an interesting way of looking at things.
Yeah. All right, Sam. So we've got to talk about your health data NFT project. Really exciting.
Yeah.
Bit of a QR code situation going on. So how can people engage with this project to create their own NFT in healthcare?
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't necessarily call it a project, it's more of an initiative to help people to first understand their data, and second, to understand that there is technology out there that can help them to save their own information and potentially one day have the ability to sell that data for the highest bidder. I mean, maybe that's a very layman way of saying it, but the reality is that, you know, if you read the book, and when you do read the book, at the end of the book there's a barcode, and that barcode will take you to a very simple website where you can record your information today, right? But as that information starts to evolve, and as the relationship with the local governments and the sovereignty of data becomes more and more free, you'll be able to add more into that NFT. And the NFT is basically, think of it as a lock with a barcode that you're the only one who has the key to it, right? Your fingerprint is the key per se. And it's stored onto what we said is a blockchain, which is a big ledger where all the information is there, and it's very clear where the information is going, who's looking at it, who's using it, how much they're paying you for it. All these information are very, very clearly articulated for you. So, you know, consider this as step zero. And next steps are going to be when the freedom of data in the region is sort of given to the people, then they'll be able to maneuver their own information into these blockchain boxes, if you like. So, you know, get a hold of the book, have a read of it, scan the barcode, log on, leave your information, get onto the journey. I think we're all heading into a direction where blockchain technology is involved in our day-to-day lives. The book tells you more about that, because I think just the word blockchain can knock people off to one side. So I've tried to explain it in the book in a simple way as possible. And then, you know, check out the barcode, check out the website, and see what you can do. Ultimately, I think, you know, that's my personal view, and I want to share that. It's me sharing my knowledge with people. Yeah. But I think ultimately, you know, at Dedalus, for example, there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of movement. So the website has a lot of information if you want to know more about how technology can help improve your lives. Yeah. So you get the combination of two there.
That's absolutely fascinating. It's almost like having your little twin and you're looking from the outside in at yourself and what you've been doing.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary. And then going, wow, did I really do that? Well, I should not do that again. And, you know, you almost having insight, right? Having insight into yourself allows you to go, okay, I'm not doing that again. I'm going to change the way I've been doing things and really alter my twin, as you said, and become somebody who lives a healthier lifestyle as opposed to doing all the things that I've been doing every single day.
Yeah, very, very valid. Right, well, Sam, it's been an absolutely fascinating, great conversation. I think we could do like more.
Sure.
Looking ahead,
yes,
the future. What future developments can we anticipate for you?
Yeah.
Your project. When's the next book out? I know it's a new one.
Yeah,
it's
a new one. Look, I think there's always going to be exciting projects. I've been asked to write another book.
Amazing.
No, it's crazy. Exclusive? So the idea is to create a new book, and the book would be an experiment. Okay. The book would be 12 months in me, right? So the idea is that to have every month to create some kind of initiative to give me a healthier lifestyle. So 1 month, for example, I will be a vegan. 1 month I will be doing ice baths every morning. 1 month I'll be running every day for 10 kilometers, whatever the case may be, and recording the insight. And then doing that for 11 months. And on the 12 months, to do all those initiatives and seeing how that impacts the life. So that's something we're looking into right now. It's just a matter about finding the time to do it, because it's going to take a whole year, as you can imagine. But certainly there are many ideas. But the other thing that I wanted to mention is that, you know, as well as the book, Dedalus is still doing a lot of work. And, you know, watch the space. There's going to be a lot of big announcements around some of the really exciting projects that we're doing. And look, I look forward to meeting people. People are welcome to log on to LinkedIn and message me, and I'm happy to always answer any questions.
Fabulous. I know you're very active on there and you're very welcoming with people and you're happy to like answer questions and whatnot. I do have to ask, those 11 initiatives, have you come up with them or is somebody enforcing them on you?
No, I mean, look, throughout my life, I've been lucky enough to travel the world and I've seen many people do many initiatives. So some of those are my own personal that I've seen. Some of them are things that I've read up on. And some of them are really wild and wacky. So let's see if I'm going to do them.
I'm really looking forward to this. And you know what? I hope it turns into a documentary of some
I
sort
hope
as
so.
well.
Thank you so much. Really excited.
Thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you.